Hi, let's talk about designing UX, UI, HCI, and everything else to do with the user experience that a product manager should care about. So, we'll begin with basic fundamental concepts about UX design and then we'll go deeper. So, user experience design is the art of studying user behavior and user psychology to provide them with an advanced user experience. User experience is the attitude or reaction a user has towards your product. By using technology to combine your business goals and vision for your product and user expectations, we arrive at a UX design or simply UX. So it's a culmination of the entire experience that you have brought in. It's not just the interactions that you have on your app, it's the entire experience before using the product, after using the product, it's the entire thing. So, how do you understand a user's intent or motivation or behavior? Well, you plot out your customer observations using the metrics on the right, which is how specific it is, how general it is, how implicit it is, and how explicit it is. This is just one of the frameworks, but one framework that I personally like. So, so it basically measures there are two axes. One measures the explicitness of customer behavior. Sometimes customers are able to explain their needs explicitly. The other measures the specificity of customer needs, right? So explicit statements made by a customer, these are easy to point out. And you should make sure that your design definitely address these statements. And implicit requirements implied by customer through his or her behavior, these requirements are much more difficult to pinpoint. And fulfilling these requirements helps you secure customer loyalty. So the explicit statements are typically very attitudinal in nature, whereas the implicit requirements are much more behavioral in nature. And it's much more difficult to identify, but they are the ones you really need to track down. So explicit need food could be I want online banking portal that helps me control my budget. While the implicit requirement is money transferred through online transactions will be safe and secure with your tool, right? And then specificity, it's specific if users know what they want, and general if users do not know what they want. For example, the above banking service example, customer is very specific about an online portal, right? How does knowing customer intent help? Well, uh, then you can, if you really know what the customer's intent is, what they are expecting and how they are going to behave, you can actually design much more richer customer experience, much more adhering to what they are looking for, and that's where the loyalty and the word of mouth will be showered on you. So there are multiple UX frameworks to keep in mind, um, and they cater to different requirements, different contexts, and so on. Let's go through some of these one by one. So framework number one is simply the hierarchy of user experience needs. This is obviously inspired by Maslow's psychological hierarchy. So at the base of the framework, you have site availability, which is the basic functionality of any digital page. Site availability or app availability or whatever you have. So how many times have you held a negative view of a mobile app or a website that led you to a page that was unavailable, right? So basic necessity of any digital page. The next level refers to the usability of the digital page. How easy is it to navigate through the website or mobile app? Do users end up at locations different from their intent? How easy is it to use the components and objects like buttons, scrolls, etc. of the website or mobile app? Is the text of the content placeholders legible and clear? For example, if you had a website that had the pink background and text written in bright pink, it is not going to be readable or legible, right? The next level in this hierarchy refers to the supportive features that serve as a hand holders to the customers while they explore the digital platform. For example, on the checkout page of a website, you want to create a subtle feature like a floating text box reminding the user to check out. Next level references the confidence a user has in your digital page. For example, we have a high level of confidence on Amazon website. Why do I say so? Because we spend a lot of time adding items to shopping cart or creating a shopping list, etc. and in general the Amazon's brand image, that also adds up. And then we spend money in membership or service special services that make the experience even better, like the Amazon Prime. We have so much confidence in Amazon's website that we invest time and money here instead of going to a brick and mortar store. Finally, we look at the desirability of the digital page. These are usually the delighters. What does that mean? It means the delighters are those features that are not necessary on a digital page, but their presence keeps customers engaged and keeps them coming back. For example, dash buttons on Amazon. These buttons help you buy items that you purchase on a regular basis, like dishwashing liquid. Without these buttons, one would still search for the dishwashing liquid and buy it, but providing these buttons makes it easier and increases customer loyalty because the user feels valued, and it's much more easy to just push a button and the dishwasher liquid is going to be at your home. The framework 2 is simply the UX honeycomb. Okay, this honeycomb is a tool that breaks down the contributors of positive user experience into the category shown on the right. Okay, so useful hexagon is simply the hexagon which you'll simply bucket all the activities, all the interactions which captures users' intent to interact with the website and app. And are users able to achieve their intent? Is it useful? Then hexagon. Accessible hexagon talks about how accessible are the elements. Is it designed as per the appropriately for users with disabilities or in general? For example, if you have a very small button on a mobile app, it's going to be very very difficult for people with bigger thumbs or in general for people, right? And that's accessible. Similarly, valuable, right? Is the um, content that you're providing, is the data that you're providing on the digital page, is it valuable or not? And the same are pretty obvious, right? So useful, desirable, accessible, credible, findable, and usable. If you have all of this, then pretty much you have something which is very very valuable. Framework 3 here is elements of user experience. Okay, this framework was designed by and developed by Jesse James Garrett, and it's a fantastic framework to give you a good idea about how to design interfaces and how to strategize about your user experience. So essentially it consists of so according to Garrett, uh, there are 5 layers of user experience. Okay, it starts very abstract at very concept level, which is the user needs and the site objectives. What is the user expecting or the needs, and what are the site objectives? They're the business objectives. Okay, using these two elements, you go a little more specific and you look for functional specifications and content requirements. Okay, what is the type and the amount of content, what how the data will be organized, how the content will be organized, how will the content be delivered, and then you go even more specific. Once you have these functional requirements and the content requirements, you can design the interaction design and the information architecture around the website or the mobile app. And then on top of that, you will have interface design, you will have navigation design, and you will have information design. That is, you will start creating wireframes to communicate with other stakeholders. And then finally, at the very top is visual design. Once all of this is sorted, that's when you have visual design. Typically people do things absolutely the opposite way. People start designing things before even figuring out what are the user needs and what are the site objectives, and that's what a good product manager would never do. So how do you measure UX, right? um, so it is, in my opinion, it's very important to measure UX. Why? Because it helps in making better decisions and leaner product management, right? It gives you basically it gives you insight into how your users are interacting with digital page. They give you insight into the paths traversed within your app or website, so you exactly know how well have you crafted the entire journey, where are the people dropping out, where are the people not dropping out, and so on. And this will help you in improving the design, improving the entire experience. Ultimate design is what how it works, right? It's a most popular phrase about design. That design is what works and not how it looks. So when you have data behind your interface, you will exactly know how exactly it is working and how beautifully or how not so beautifully it is working, and you can figure out the friction points which you can then remove, right? So there are two category of metrics: external and internal. External metrics are refer to an environment outside of your digital page, and internal are the ones which refer to the measurements within the digital page. For example, how many times is a user using back button of the browser? The frequency of this usage will be an indication that users are not able to find the information they're looking for easily, and hence they're going back to the main page, right? So to conclude, uh, user experience is a holistic concept. It's not just catering to the UI, just the interface that you're designing. It's a holistic view about what is your objectives, what are the user needs, and how are you defining the journey that a user has to go through to achieve the goals or the intent that he came for on your website or your mobile app. And there are multiple frameworks around it. There is specifically for human computer interaction, the kind of interaction that you're talking about, where we are interacting with the website or we are interacting with the mobile app. There are books and there's a lot of theory, a lot of content available uh, on human computer interaction, that's HCI. I will suggest and recommend that you please browse and read about it. It's a it's a very extensive subject matter, and people do PhDs in just that. So I would not say that you'll be able to cover everything, but it's worthwhile to read some of the basic stuff. That's it for now. Thank you.